Henri Jacques Hill. Esoteric production notes for a nonlinear anti-narrative. Classification NC-17 for philosophical density and unfiltered ontological horror. Henri Jacques Hill. This is the foundational stratum, not a place but a gravitational anomaly where all failed concepts, abandoned philosophies, and poorly articulated emotions achieve critical mass. The soil is packed with the lint of forgotten arguments, the air taste of lukewarm tea and intellectual compromise. To build here is to build with warped lumber and bent nails. The resulting structures are inherently, gloriously unsound. This is the only viable vantage point. The material plane, a grossly overrated phenomenon, a sticky consensus reality maintained by collective inattention. It possesses the texture of wet wool and the structural integrity of a sugar glass window. The memo is to treat it not as a setting, but as a patient etherized upon a table, ready for unlicensed dissection. All descriptions should emphasize its profound cheapness and its tendency to fray at the seams. Darts of wisdom. These are not truths, they are projectiles, they are sharp, weighted phrases fired from a carnival booth into a spinning wheel of preconception. Their value is not in accuracy, but in the thok sound they make upon impact and the subsequent wobble they induce in the target's worldview. Examples include your nostalgia is a forgery, or silence is not empty, it is sated. Scripts for unorthodox lives. Abandon all cause and effect stage directions. These are not plays, but scores for a Wehrmain orchestra. They consist of non-sequential emotional states, physiological reactions to non-existent stimuli, and dialogues where each participant is performing in a different play entirely. Stage note: the third act always involves the slow, deliberate swallowing of one's own shadow. Documented abyss. Not a void, but a plenum, a fat, well-fed nothingness that has been meticulously catalogued. Its dimensions are known, its temperature is recorded, its specific gravity has been calculated. The terror is not in its infinity, but in the sheer, boring volume of paperwork required to prove its existence. It is the ultimate bureaucracy. Perhaps consider your deluded thinking. This is not a suggestion, but a stage direction for the reader's mind. It is the moment that the prose turns to the audience and applies a sudden, uncomfortable pressure behind their left eye. The goal is to induce a momentary systems check, a flicker of metacognition where the reader questions the very soil of Reject Hill upon which they stand. Beaming suns, low-laying moons. Celestial bodies are not romantic. The sun is a relentless, beaming interrogator. The moon is a low-lying, heavy fruit, pregnant with bad influence and tidal madness. Their light is not illuminating. It is accusatory. It exposes the cheap varnish on the material plane. If the stars could talk, they would not offer guidance. They would recite tedious, billion-year-old gossip. They would speak of celestial bankruptcies, the collapse of nebular economies, and the quiet, shameful dimming of their neighbors. Their conversations would be a crushing bore, revealing the universe as a vast, provincial backwater. Ancient, ancestral living. A biological fallacy. It is the persistent vestigial rhythm of a liver that still believes in predator species, a spine that expects to be horizontal, a brainstem that listens for the howl of extinct wolves. It is not wisdom, it is an echo of obsolete survival protocols interfering with modern consciousness. Rise. A command not of ascension but of viscosity. To rise is to achieve a state of such profound self-aware density that one begins to sink upwards through the layers of consensus. It is not a triumph, but a reversal of gravitational polarity, a personal catastrophe that looks like victory to the untrained eye. Losing the pretension. The most dangerous pretension is the belief that one can be free of pretension. Therefore, this directive is a trap. The only way to lose the pretension is to adopt a new, more sophisticated one, the pretension of raw, unmediated experience. It is a snake eating its own tail, and the memo is to describe the taste. Carrot cake. The ultimate symbol of decadent decay, a vegetable masquerading as a treat hidden under a thick shroud of sweet, cloying cement. It is the lie of health, the corruption of sustenance, a spice monument to self-deception. A slice of carrot cake is a perfectly contained ecosystem of bad faith. Skull, bored brains. The brain is not a quantum computer, it is a bored tenant in a bone apartment. It paces, it rearranges the furniture of memory, it scratches equations onto the walls. Skull, bored brains, refers to the specific ennui of a consciousness that has read its own source code and found it derivative. Dogma Road, a well-paved, efficiently lit highway that leads to a spectacularly maintained cliff edge. The ride is smooth, the signage is clear, and the final drop is a featured attraction. The memo is to document the rest stops, the easy listening played on the car radio, and the comforting, authoritative voice of the GPS as it instructs you to please proceed to the designated route. Damaged goods. The only goods all consciousness is shipped with factory defects, the scratches, the dents, the miswired emotional responses. These are not flaws but features. They are the entry points for the peculiar light of Reject Hill. The black market. Not for drugs or weapons, but for authentic experiences. Here, one can barter for a genuine surprise, a truly original mistake, or a 5-minute segment of unmediated perception. The currency is spent traumas. The most coveted item is a blank memory, unused and perfectly empty. Extinct species. They are not gone. They have simply been voted out of the material plane by a disinterested electorate. They persist as a philosophical vacancies, as shapes in the conceptual foam. Their absence is more formative than any living presence. Natural selection. A brutal, unimaginative editor. It favors the functional, the adequate, the passable. It has no taste for the baroque, the excessively complex, or the beautifully useless. The memo is to champion the latter, the glorious failures that natural selection tried to scrap. Caffeine bean. A small dark god of anxiety. It does not provide energy, but negotiates a high-interest loan from your own future exhaustion. The ritual of its consumption is a daily pack with a jittery, unforgiving deity. Kratom. The quiet cousin, the velvet rope at the back of the mind. It does not shout like caffeine or sing like cannabis. It simply changes the lighting in the room of the self, making the sharp corners of existence appear soft and manageable for a few precious hours. Cannabis seed. A tiny sleeping parliament of alternate perspectives. When activated, it convenes a session where all laws of perception are up for debate. The resulting legislation is often hazy and difficult to enforce upon waking. Crack cocaine. The sudden, violent promotion of a single moment to the rank of God Emperor. All past and future moments are immediately deposed, executed, and forgotten. The tyranny of the now is absolute, brutal, and short-lived, leaving a smoking crater in its wake. No prescriptions necessary. The core tenet. This is not a corrective treatise. It is a menu. It is a description of a derelict pharmacy where all the bottles are unlabeled and you are your own unqualified physician. Fighting for causes and effects. The ultimate delusion. To believe in the tidy chain of cause and effect is to believe in a children's story about the universe. The reality is a ride of simultaneous contradictory events. To fight is not to prove casualty, but to survive the chaotic, beautiful shrapnel of everything happening at once.